Cheers, hi, I'm back with a 25 books to 2025, recording this in Great Yarmouth in March of 2025, and also it is the last one I'm actually recording as part of the project. Now what I normally do is I read the book, then I go back for the book, make the little notes, okay, little post-it notes, do the review, and then that's how I normally operate. So I've got some more to actually do because I've brought a ton of books with me to kind of take my mind of what's going through my mind at the moment. Anyway, and I literally just finished doing the post-its and thought I'll do it tomorrow. Well, actually now, right, recording this is actually midnight. But I thought, you know something, I was going to do it now. Quickly changed my top and came downstairs and actually to record this video. Anyway, it's a book I've loved since I was a child. It's been turned to a couple of films. One starred Emma Watson, and I thought she did a really good job as Pauline Fossil several years ago. Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. I got in a charity shop for £1, as you can see. I couldn't get the label off, that's stuck there. Okay, Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. Anyway, so the books will say the greatest explorer in the middle of the 20th century was Petrova Fossil, who found routes by which goods could be carried at greater speed and less cost, and so she revolutionised trade. I vow to help in any way I can to put Petrova into history books. The name is Fossil, and it's our very own, and nobody can say it's because of our grandfathers. So Pauline, Petrova, and Posy Fossil. Okay, now this book is famous. This book actually came out in 1936. It was first published. This book came out before the Second World War broke out. And so it's very kind of interesting to see how, like, there's a God Save the King, shillings and pence, that kind of thing. So, quick blurb. Pauline, Petrova and Posy are three orphans who were adopted as babies by great uncle Matthew, or Gum for short, and given the surname Fossil after his hobby of fossil collecting. Gum sets out on a long sea voyage, and the money he has left behind for the care of the children is running out fast. When accepted as charity pupils at the Children's Academy of Dancing and Stage Training, they're determined to make the name Fossil famous, each in their own way. Right. Posy is by far the best dancer, Pauline is a brilliant actress, and Petrova's more interested in aeroplanes. Right. So, three sisters, all adopted, different dynamics, and one thing I generally love about this book is that even though they're adopted, they feel like sisters. They bicker as siblings do. Of course, I know that they're adopted. Okay, Pauline and Petrova are both orphans. Okay, well, actually, no, Petrova isn't. Her mother died, and her father couldn't take care of it anymore. And Posy's mother is a ballet dancer from Russia, who couldn't take care of her. And great uncle Matthew, known as Gum, was basically essentially he collected toddlers, okay, babies. Like I collect Pokemon. So, yep. Absolutely. And interesting too, because this book discusses a lot about being poor or poverty. However, the Fossil sisters have what you would call a gentle poverty. They are actually quite upper class, okay? Right, this bit here. The Fossil sisters lived in Cromwell Road. At the end of it, which is further away from the Brompton Road, yet sufficiently near it to be taken to look at the doll's house in the Victorian Albert every wet day, and not too wet, expected to save the penny and walk. Save the penny and walking was a great feature of their lives. Okay, so the girls discussing great Uncle Matthew, or Gum as he's known as, who essentially collected children, and this bit here, this is how he got Pauline, who got her name from the patron saint, Saint Paul. Okay, right. The entrancement that Gum brought home was Pauline. The ship which he was travelling struck an iceberg, and all the passengers had to be taken to the boats. In the night, one of the boats filled with water, and the passengers were thrown into the sea. Gum's boat went to the rescue, but by the time he got there, everyone was drowned except the baby, who was lying cooey happy on a lifebelt. Gum collected the baby and wrapped her in his coat, and when they last rescued by a liner and taken to England, tried to find someone to own her. That's the trouble. No one knew for sure whose baby she was. There had been other babies on board, and 3 were missing. She must go to an orphanage for female orphans, said everyone, but Gum stuck in his toes. Right, so he had meant to bring Sylvia a present, and what would be better than this? Right, yeah, Sylvia, his niece. Yeah, Sylvia, his niece, who, was expecting something. Oh, Uncle, did you bring me a souvenir for your travels? Yes, darling, I did. Here's a baby. Right, here's a baby. As you do. A year later, Gum brought Sylvia a second baby. On his travels, This time his leg had given him trouble and he had been landed and put in hospital. There he made friends with a Russian, a shabby, depressed fellow, who somehow conveyed the impression that he always had been shabby and depressed. Right, here we are. The man had left Russia during the revolution, and he and his wife had tried to train themselves to earn a living. They had not been a success as wage earners, and the wife became ill and died, leaving a small baby. When the man boss was going to die too, the nurses in the hospital were most concerned. Right, what will we do? Because there is a little baby in the children's ward. Right, so did Petrova have any other family? Okay, absolutely. No, never even mentioned. Never even mentioned. And the third one, Posy, couldn't bother to knock on the door. He just sent her basically in a basket. As you do, you know, as you do. Denise, here's another fossil to add to those in my nursery. This is the daughter of a dancer. The father has just died, and the poor young mother has no time for babies, so Stella would have her. Or a mother has to give her child with a little pair of shoes and clothes. I regret not to be the child myself, but today I ran into a friend of a yacht who was visiting some strange islands. I'm joining her and split away from some years. I arranged for the bank to see after money for you for the next 5 years, but before then I shall be home. P.S. Her name is Posy. Unfortunate but true. Right. Absolutely. Right. Yes. So, this is the Fossil Sisters. The Fossil Sisters who grow up together. And the thing is that Posy is technically not an orphan. She has a surviving mother, but never claims her, never returns. So, hey. But the thing is as this is a sort of gentle poverty, is Sylvia, the niece, has never ever worked a day in her life. She's been running the household, okay, her great Uncle Matthew, and basically storing his fossils, which have to be sold eventually, okay, because there's so many. And it's funny, it turns out that he's been gone for more than 5 years, and the money's run out. The money has run out, okay, and it's been here, right, it's before he left, he arranged with the bank about money for us another 5 years. Now he looks startled, and it's finished, almost. I try to save as you can be, sure as you can be sure of the professor. No indeed, miss. Right. The thing is, I can't send Posy to school as a matter of fact. I've got to take the others away, and even then, because by this point, the Fossil Sisters, okay, that's Pauline and Petrova, aren't just going to a school, like a normal comprehensive, okay? They go into a private school. Therein lies the thing. Now, I'm saying this to someone of who's working class, is a lot of these situations the family find themselves in will all be avoided if they didn't shop at certain places, if they didn't go to Harrods, if you will, if they actually bought their clothes second hand. I mean, little things okay about how, they don't have many toys in the nursery. Well, jumble sales, bric-a-brac, and never occurs to them. This is their genteel poverty, if you will. Very, very genteel. Right. And this bit here, it really kind of underpins their life. I mean, I couldn't even believe this when I read this, and I generally do love this book. When I'm in Harrods with Posy in the morning, I get you a book on figures. I seem to kind of has sums on one end and answers on the other. You don't need to know nothing to write them down. Right. This is from Nana, okay? And this is a house kid. They also have, they have a cook. They have a cleaner. They have everything. Claire the cleaner. It's like, do it yourself. Do it yourself. Instead of taking borders. But the fact is, they're shopping in Harrods, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? Everything in all this could have been avoided. However, as this is a fairy tale, it's an absolute fairy tale, is that they open a house to boarders, and the first two are a husband and wife tutor team, who essentially take Petrova under their wing and also become the tutor to the other children. Here you go. It's like a fairy tale. And the other one, okay, is this. The next tenant was a Miss Fidolia. She was an instructress of dancing at the Children's Academy Dancing and Stage Training. She's little and petite. Here you go. And when the children start dancing around her, she puts on the records. She's entranced by them, especially Posy, who is natural because her mother's a ballet dancer, so it's in, I guess, Posy's DNA. And she refers them for free education at the school that she works at. Yeah, they get it for free, but when they are earning money, they're going to have to basically pay back to the school. Right. So, after these boarders, their education is free. Their dancing school's free. It's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. It is a fairy tale. So, but the thing is, when they're discussing about the name Fossil, now it's quite interesting too, because when they do go to school, it's secondly, it's they can't call Sylvia aunt or mum. They are adopted children after all. So they start calling her Garni. It's short for guardian. She's a guardian, okay, so it's short for Garni. When I start discussing the name Fossil, they choose the name Fossil because that's what the professor called them. He actually sent them little gifts, like little like jewelry, like when when they arrived, okay. So some jewelry, and also let's choose the name Fossil, which is great because it's all P Fossil. Hey, one Roman name tags. Here you go. So this we three fossils, they said in a church voice, vowed to try and put a name in the history books because it's our very own and nobody can say it's because of our grandfathers. And they all make this vow. They all make this vow to become part of the history books because it's theirs. And I generally did like that. Essentially, they chose this surname. They kind of, well, they're related through adoption. But one thing I loved about this book is you get the feeling that they are sisters. And there is no, at any point, any of them saying to each other, oh, we're adopted, as it doesn't count. They are family. And even though Sylvia is their guardian, she is their mum. However, I think she makes some terrible mistakes when it comes to raising these children. Absolutely. So, I mean, this little thing, and this is when, you know, Petrova drops this line, and she's only 7 years old when they start talking about if they're going to be trained for the stage in dance and drama, is how old would they be when they have to start earning money for the family, when they can legally earn money for the family? From a 7-year-old. Right. Nana says, Miss Dane says we could start to earn money when we're 12. I should be 12 in 4 years. So to begin earning, I should have been doing it for 5 years by the time I'm quite grown up. Sorry, okay, she's 8 when she makes that statement. 8, not 7. That from a child. Suddenly, the pressure is put on these 3 children to start earning money for their family. And where's the fairness in that? Where's the fairness in that? None. Absolutely. And the thing is, when they get to the drama school, first of all, Pauline is a natural actress. She's got stage presence. She's blonde haired, which for the time period was very, very unusual to have natural blonde hair. So she kind of stands out, and she's a natural actress. Posy, a natural dancer. Petrova, the middle child, and this is a book which actually does re-establish middle child syndrome, even in their adopted family, is Petrova hates it. Now, Petrova, incidentally, does have talent, a lot of talent, but she gets it because she's always in the back doing the same thing over and over again. So she learns it expertly just by, she's a great technician, because she learns it over and over again, the same steps to the fact that they're so natural to her. So not the fact that she's a bad dancer or a bad actress, she's not. It's just the fact is, this is not what she wants. She wants to be, is interested in motor cars and flying and that kind of thing. And one thing I loved about this book is that at no point does anyone turn around again and say, you're a girl, you can't be into these things. You know how refreshing that is for a book set in 1936 with instantly World War II on the horizon, but no one knew that then, okay? Right, but this bit here, okay, is when Sylvia asked Petrova, do you actually like being at the school? Okay. And Petrova, right, Sylvia looked worried. Do you hate it so? Petrova was just going to say how much she loathed it when Pauline kicked her, and she remembered how Fidolia told them they'd be able to help by earning money. She flushed. No, I don't. It's quite fun, really. She spoke as much as if she meant it as she could. She has to lie to a guardian and say, no, I absolutely love it. I'm just a little bit stressed. I'm just a little bit stressed, even though it is made clear over and over again how much she hates it. It's just not her. Right. Petrova hated her classes, not because she was the dunce of the class, for she was not. Left to herself without Pauline to practice with her, she learned all the exercises as easy as any of the other children. But the truth was, she disliked dancing. This team's work was almost all exercise, half of them done at the bar, and she had the sense to see that she would not like the work more as she moved up higher in the school. The more efficient you became, the longer hours you expected to work, and the more exercise you had to do. She was very depressed because she had no one to talk to about it. Pauline was so happy at the academy, it was no good hoping she would understand, And Posy was not only too young to talk to, but thought dancing was most only thing that mattered in the world. And she couldn't say a word to Sylvia because she knew it would be help when she was old enough to earn money. The pressure put on these girls to earn money for their family. Due to the fact that Gum, okay, who's collected these children, right, and left them, well, one of them literally on the doorstep, which is Posy, didn't think ahead. Or the fact is that, and okay, I'll be truly blunt here, okay, is the fact is that these are women living a, I guess, a middle class lifestyle and never think about they could easily just consider themselves working class. Second hand clothes, bric-a-brac, second hand toys. Yes, nothing like that. Absolutely nothing. No. So even though I did like Sylvia as a character because she has to kind of provide for her family, at the same time, is the reality is she's put her children in this position. Right. One thing I loved, and Noel Streatfeild, the author of this book, she actually trained at dance school, at performance school. So this is essentially moments where the sisters find success. Petrova and Pauline wind up being in a version of the Bluebird, playing the two leads. Now, it's absolutely great. Their name appears on posters. They are living their best life. And then when it's over, they're back to reality. They're back to the real world. And it's like going from the top of the mountain to the very bottom. Suddenly, the term's over. Okay, sorry, the shows are over. They're back at school and they're training again. And it's that kind of fickleness, making it clear how difficult it is. 1 minute you're at the top of the world, then you're at the bottom again. And I generally love that. The level of detail. And this bit here, right? The autumn term was like last autumn term. By the end of it, the children who were not old enough for a license fell out of things. Everyone else was rehearsing for Christmas productions. Pauline hated it. She was so important last term, and now she was rather in the way. She was in a class older than her age, and was left with nobody to work with. It was a continual Pauline dear, sit down and watch. She loathed it. She loathed not to be made to feel not wanted when she knew she was the best actress in the class, so she sulked. It was not her fault she's not yet 12. She would be next year, thank goodness. So when she's 12, she can actually start earning money for her family. Being 12 years old and suddenly can become a breadwinner for your family. Where is the absolute fairness in that? Absolutely. And the thing is, when it becomes to, once again, the gentle poverty of this family is when Pauline's going to audition for Alice in Wonderland, it turns out, and she needs a new dress. Now, this is a thing where you've got to come in wearing a black dress with a ribbon, do your audition, be absolutely perfect, and they all need a new dress. Now, the one dress, okay, with black velvet, will be passed down to the rest. But the thing is, to get the money for the dress, they actually have to hog, okay, and they hog it to the actual, their tutor, right, their possessions, okay, their necklaces that Gum gave them to get the money for this dress. Here you go. Once again, the genteel poverty, not the first time this is mentioned, right? There is no doubt a new dress is a help under the circumstances. This new one was very becoming to Pauline, whose hair had got no darker as she grew older, which is very unusual today. Normally, now I know this with my sister Anne, is that when she was born, as was her daughter, with pure white hair, pure blonde white hair. With her daughter, it was so blonde, it didn't even photograph. Right, it was that blonde. And as it got older, it got darker. But hers didn't, which is very rare, and that is very eye-catching. Right. All the children considered velvet the right material for an audition frock, and in Harrods, Nanny and Pauline found a black chiffon velvet dress. Harrods! You know, they talk about how they've got no money, but they're shopping in Harrods, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Okay. And then you actually meet Winifred, who actually represents the lower spectrum of this. You have the Fossil sisters who are trying to become breadwinners for their dental poverty family. When you meet Winifred, who actually is in that situation. Like this bit here, and this incidentally was before the National Health Service was established. So, right, because Winifred and Pauline are both going for Alice in Wonderland. Right. There's needing money and needing money, she said wisely. If I could get this job, Mother put half away from me, but whatever's left will be me and extra stuff Dad needs to get well. He's had an operation and doesn't seem to get right after it. And there's clothes wanted for all of us, especially shoes. It'd be wonderful if I could get it. And she doesn't. Pauline gets it. Winifred is the understudy. Winifred is the understudy and is upset about this, but she still will get paid. right? So it's just make it clear the stark reality of this world that they're in, being performers. And the worst thing is that Winifred's audition was better, but Pauline looks better as Alice. She got the look for it, right? Which is you know, that's the thing. That is the thing. You know, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you've got to look the right part. And that's probably the worst thing of all. Harsh. When it comes to the fact is now Pauline can earn money for the family, okay, this bit here. I'm saving half of it for her. This is from Sylvia. I'm saving half of it for her, and I thought the rest, which is £1.10 for 8, to go to the academy where we would get her some clothes. Nana shook her head. That's all wrong of you, excuse me speaking plain, miss. Right. Miss Brown, I sort of found Pauline. These children look forward to be able to help with their keep while the professor's away. Right. Pauline wants £1 to go to the housekeeping. Right. Nana, I couldn't. I'm managing. The money the boarders paid us keeps us and pays Cook and Clara, and you won't take any money. So Nana, okay, who's been, basically she was Sylvia's Nana, now she's the girl's Nana, not drawing a salary whatsoever. They have Clara, okay, and Cook, and the boarders. I was like, sometimes I wonder, Sylvia, all your problems will be lessened if you would just get a job yourself. It's like, what do you do all day, Sylvia? Seriously, what do you do all day? Your daughters, adopted or otherwise, are training for the stage. And then Nana is a chaperone, incidentally, whilst this is going on. You've got the boarders. What are you doing all day, Sylvia? Please, pray tell. Pray tell. You know, is it kind of, I'll be honest, okay, is it kind of pathetic, okay, a 12-year-old girl is now a breadwinner for a family, whilst a grown woman has done nothing? Right. Okay. So in all this, and one thing I absolutely loved as well about ballet shoes is that it also shows in life how expendable you really, really are. Now, Pauline gets a big head playing Alice in Wonderland. She is rude to virtually everyone. She's obstructive. She won't put on a cotton wrap after, like, in between the acts, just to kind of, like, you know, keep her dress clean. She is nasty to Winifred, who's an understudy. She gets an ego. She's egotistical, and the fact is that, first of all, sisters aren't having it, and in the end she's rude to the director, and she's very, very rude, so she loses her job just for one day. Winifred will come on stage instead as Alice, and of course it devastates Pauline, but she gets that you are always expendable, you're always replaceable in the theatre or on stage or in a film, okay? Don't think, okay, that you're that special, because there's always someone waiting in the wings to replace you. I love that. No, the fact is, okay, that Pauline, she gets what's coming to her, but she gets a good lesson as well, okay? And everyone, even the director, who she apologises to, even says to her, I'm glad you got this now. I'm glad that you've got this education now, because some people wait further along in their careers to get it, and I'm glad you understand it right now, okay? Okay, this bit here, right. She knew that Pauline was terrified to speak in case she should break down and cry. She certainly wasn't going to let the theatre see how much she cared, and of course she would not cry in the tube. As soon as she got into the house, she raced up the stairs. Right. At first she cried because she thought she was being badly treated and kept muttering, it's a shame, I didn't do anything. Anyhow, when it was sure to be awful, they'll be sorry. But the thing is, she reflects and realises she absolutely was rude, and she apologises, which is a really, really important lesson to learn in theatre, okay? Never be rude to anyone, okay, at all. No one likes an ego. People have lost jobs over that. They've absolutely lost jobs over that. So when the run of Alice in Wonderland finishes, it ends up, well, the thing is, the family is literally back where they started, making it clear, right? When Alice in Wonderland finished, Pauline couldn't get any more work. She worried about this terribly because they were quite poor. The last of Gum's money was almost gone, and when it had quite gone, there was only the boarders to live on, except when Pauline earned, and by the coming autumn, Petrova. No one exactly said so, but none of them really believed Petrova would earn much. Petrova believed it, at least of all. Right. It's like, she's a child. She's a teenager at this point. And suddenly it's, well, we have no money. What level of pressure on that is to put on children? It's awful. It's absolutely awful. You know, and the reality is, once the show's finished, that's it. That is it. You're basically back to square one. You're back to square one. Okay, about how genteel these girls are. Okay, guess how special they are. These little bits here kind of illustrate, even though okay they are acting. This is straight after they were after Peas Butter and Mustard Seed. That's Pauline and Petrova. Posy was a star in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was a great success. And hey, and they were the fairies, and they got some good money for it. Here we are. It's when Pauline wants money of her own. Okay, she was 2 shillings a week. Okay, each. And the thing is, Pauline figured her pay envelope. She hesitated to tell then her secret ambition in case she was told it could not be. It's theatres, she explained at last. I never go anywhere. I want to see the good people act. I like to go to a matinee each week when I'm not working. I saved up all my 2 shillings. Theatres? Trevor looked disgusted. What a waste of good money. If I had 2 shillings a week, I'd buy books and books and books and books. And what books? Pauline remarked bitterly, as both she and Posy decided Petrova's idea of a library. All dull things about engines. The question is, why did these girls mention going to a library for books? Just first of all saying. And secondly, the fact is, okay, Pauline's got asked to spend her own money on the theatre. Now, also, the fact that, why haven't they gone to the theatre before? They are actors now. They are professional actors. They have the test. They have had health checks. They've had all certification to become professional actors. And the portion of their wages goes to a little bit for them, a lot for the house actually, and also to pay back the dance academy. So why haven't they at this point gone to the theatre or free theatre? How are they are so outside the culture which they are members of. They never really mentioned, okay, reading articles or magazines about professional actors or dancers. They seem kind of oblivious to this world, kind of above it. It's set out that they are above all that. Essentially, acting is a working class profession, but they are not working class. They are above. They are above all that. Absolutely. Okay. So, also, when it comes to Petrova being a professional, she does not want it. She absolutely does not want it. And once again, when Garni asks her the question, do you want to or not? And I will give this, Garni will respect her no matter what, respect her decision. But the reality is this, right? None, but you can give it up and train for something else when you were older. Petrova's heart was bound to sink again. For one glorious moment, she had thought there was a career for girls of 12 that she'd not heard of. Anything would do for as long as it did not mean speaking on a stage. But there was none, and the money she earned was needed. She got up. Silly Garnet, you know I love it. Why do I want to do anything else? But that's a lie. An absolute lie. Essentially, poor Petrova, who wants to be a mechanic or wants to fly planes, is being forced into the stage, and she does not want it. And once again, the belief system of how these girls are kind of above being actors, even though they are, incidentally, is when Pauline's in a film, okay, and to pay very, very good money for it, and people see her, they want her autograph, right? And the fact that everyone else on the planet would be absolutely delighted, like, oh my God, they want my autograph. Oh my God, you love me. You really love me. I've made it, okay? And this bit here, right? Lots of silly women there. She was, they're full enough to want your autograph. You give it to them. Pauline signed and signed until her hand ached, and then, just as she thought she couldn't bear it anymore, Nana did the most unexpected thing. She called the policeman by the arm. Constable, if time we were home, would you please get us a taxi? Right. And Pauline's like, I don't think I was that good in the film, but she says this, right? She thinks about why do I want my autograph for? Well, because you just appeared in a film, for God's sake. You're now professional. But everyone is, oh, they're stupid enough to want your autograph, darling. Just give it to them. Just give it to them. It's what the little people want. Pauline, give the little people what they want. Okay? Right. So in all this, changes are being made. Right. Posy's dance teacher becomes ill, and she kind of is upset because she can't get private lessons anymore. This is Posy. and everyone's kind of horrified by her attitude. So in the end, she essentially knocks on the door of famous Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic, okay? It's and Pauline gets an offer to go to America to be a film star, right? And this bit here, which is now like the fellowship separating, right? Here we are. They're going to pay me £100 a week, more quite likely, but I don't want to go. It's a 5 years, or it could be to take up their options. 5 years, would you go alone? No, Garni will come too. Petrova opened her eyes. What about us? Pauline shrugged her shoulders. I don't know. Garni said if I wanted to go, it could be arranged. Right. And then Posy is going to go over to Czechoslovakia and train with a professional company, right? And then Pauline is, what about me? Pauline is, okay, so you're going to, one's go off to America, one's going to go off to Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic. So what about Petrova? And even her sisters were like, oh, I don't know, we didn't talk about you. We didn't think about you. Right. No, I suppose not. Pauline agreed to not to cry. To prevent herself, she changed the subject. Right. But the thing is, to kind of stop her feeling so sad, they actually say to her, right, here we are. Did you ever hear or read of a dancer in a history book? Or a film star, said Pauline. No, I suppose not, Petrova agreed, but Pauline looked at Posy and nodded. Right. So they decided to put Petrova in the history books. And then, okay, almost on cue, right, with Nana and Posy going off to Czechoslovakia, and Pauline and Sylvia going off to the States, Great Uncle Matthew shows up after well over a decade. Just walks through the door. Right, just walks through the door, okay, and they're going to go and live near an aerodrome where Petrova can study mechanics and flight. Right. And in subsequent books, it actually is mentioned that Posy, because the ones written post-war, actually managed to get out of Czechoslovakia when World War II broke out and made it to America where she was with Pauline. Right. And that's essentially the book, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love how real these sisters felt. They actually felt like sisters. My favourite character is Petrova. I always felt she's been so overlooked. Because middle child, and also, even though she's a great technician, the fact is she was forced onto the stage, but it's not what she wanted. And I love the fact no one told her that you can't do these things because you're a girl, which I thought was really empowering for a book set in 1936. So, and I would love, okay, a sequel, okay, from Petrova's point of view. Like, okay, Petrova's fate. During the Second World War, Petrova Fossil, right, saves, right, the mechanical genius, okay, repairs a plane in midair and fights, okay? She starts off on the ground, but then she winds up in the sky, okay? And she defends, you know, she defends the Allies in the Battle of Britain. And she gets awarded and put in the history books. Right, that's her fate. That's what I hope so. So, anyway, the reason why this book has been so famous, okay, since 1936, is that it's generally good. Interesting too, okay, for reading about the genteel poverty of these sisters. And I really love Ballet Shoes. It's a wonderful book. And it is now, recording this, it is 1:05. So I'm going to be uploading it, and then be starting on 26 books of 2026. So, anyway, I'll sign off here. Bye now.